Hey guys, it's Ashley here, your host of Nanny News. Have a special client with me today. We are sitting down with Bree from Your Nanny Resume. Hey guys, look, it's Bree with us today. I'm so excited for you guys to learn about her journey as a nanny, how she used to be a nanny into corporate life now, trying to transition a little bit back into it. She provides resumes. She has a wonderful business where she helps us with resumes. She's a career coach. So we're going to dive deep into her today, and I can't wait to find out. So, Bree, we're going to have you introduce a little bit about yourself, where you're kind of located, how long you were in the industry, and a little bit just about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Bree, the founder of Your Nanny Resume. I've been in business since about 2018. Not gonna lie, I can never remember the exact date, but I know it was in 2018. Um, I was in childcare for about 10 years and it ended around the pandemic. A lot was full-time, part-time. Before things ended, I was a part-time nanny, kind of just doing like the after-school stuff. But yeah, Your Nanny Resume was really founded just because, again, from a fellow nanny or former nanny, I noticed that, it was a really easy industry for us to get taken advantage of and we really did lack professionalism. And I feel like once you present yourself as your best self and very professional, a lot of people can't try you. They can't try to manipulate you. They can't, work their way around certain things. They realize that you know your stuff. So I wanted to make sure that people in the childcare industry had all of the tools and have all of the tools that they need, throughout their journey, starting with a resume and then some. So that's a little bit about me, how we got started, and where we're going now.
Cool. Well, that's really exciting. So you said you were a nanny for a little bit of time. What was your nanny journey like? Was it fun? Did you have some good experiences? Or you said were you mostly in one area? Like you know.
Yes, so I'm from Connecticut, so that's really where it started. It started initially when I was working at Starbucks, and a lot of
Okay.
people would come in with their kids. And at the time, I was, a lot younger. I don't even remember, like early 20s, maybe even late teens. I think I was in my late teens. Yeah. And I would just see kids and immediately light up. It would make my day. So this, at the time when I was working at Starbucks, I wasn't nannying or doing anything part time. But
Okay.
there was this specific woman who would come in all the time, and she was pregnant and had another child with her. So I would always play with her, her oldest child at the time. And one day I was just like, can I babysit? Like, I think me and your kid have like this cool little connection. I really want to get into it. And she was super open to it because she knew me so well. I feel like when
Yeah.
people trust you making their drinks at Starbucks, they'll trust you with their kids too. So that was easy. So we started there. And then from there, I was like, oh yeah, I want to keep doing this. So
This.
started off with babysitting. Um, and I believe at the time I was working at a doctor's office in Greenwich. It's called
Okay.
OMS. So I was in a really like cool, like uppity area, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on care.com and I was like, okay, I want to do like more full-time stuff. I mean, corporate is cool, but I want to like, get more involved with children. And I had worked at a daycare at the time. The daycare was called Little Friends, located in Greenwich. So that was really cool. But again, I wanted to kind of like give all of my energy to one family in particular. So with that, there was this woman who kind of just took me under her wing. It was like, listen, sounds like you genuinely love kids. You have some experience. So I'm willing to kind of like bet on you and see what you can do. And from there, my nanny journey began. So I would
Oh,
say
that's
it's
so
really
cool.
fun. I've had obviously ups and downs. I'm sure like a lot of people have, but overall, it was a lot of fun. I have a lot of old videos in my phone. I actually today just posted a video about my funniest time as a nanny, where I was feeding kids dinner and one of the kids stuck a pee up his nose. It was fun. I've had a lot of fun experiences. So yeah, the journey was a lot, was very enjoyable.
Yeah. So, and do you miss being in the nanny like full time
Oh
of
yeah.
life?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know what I want to do now. It would be really hard because I do feel like, and I think a lot of people in the industry can attest to, you have to give a lot of your energy to what you're doing. And I'm in so many different avenues right now with marketing, with, this business growing rapidly, speaking engagements. I just don't even have the time to really devote to one particular child. I've thought about going back into it kind of like part time or babysitting, but even
Yeah.
then, my free time is never even my free time anymore. So I think as life changes, maybe I could see myself finding time for it. but I also do want to do it while I'm young. And I have like an opinion about that as well. One thing I noticed when I was heavily nannying is they really liked that I was young.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're youthful and their kids are young, so you can get on the floor with them and roll around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm only 28, so I mean, I have a while until I think people will call me old, but I do still want to do it while I'm young, just because I do know that parents really do like that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting perspective because I think when working with someone older, they have more experience, they know what they're doing. But I think, I think we're all equal, but I definitely could see myself getting back into it.
Do it. Oh, that's exciting. Well, well, you kind of now transitions into the corporate life and and focusing really on like your nanny resume. So tell us like what have you been noticing? Like you help nannies like build their resume, right? So if they come to you, you help them build from like the bottom up, like or and then what is something that you what is like one of the most important things that you have been noticing that people that is important to really have on your resume? So say if I come to you and you're like, what is one thing I have to have on my resume?
One thing you have to have, I don't think there's
That's
just
important.
one, but if there's anything, any kind of certification, your
Okay.
experience is great, but I feel like those are givens. So if there was something that I had to think like outside of the givens, it would be your certifications. And a lot of people don't even realize, like I did sports medicine in high school, and speaking to families about what I've done in high school, they were like, "Oh, that's great," because their son might be starting track or starting football or things like that.
Mm,
And if I'm taking them to practice and something happens, obviously their team is equipped to do whatever they need to do. But if I need to then take care of them, beyond that, I know what I'm doing. So even small things like the standard CPR, first aid, like that stuff really matters. So I would say certification. And in the event you're still obtaining one and don't necessarily have one, I would just always speak to your relevant experience that they're asking for at the job. So when we go back to things like my Tinder method and stuff like that, when looking at your resume and then looking at the keywords that they are pretty much
finds it.
asking you to have, making sure that your relevant experience, we don't lie, so our relevant experience that can speak to the position, I think is really important. So it's also very circumstantial. It kind of just depends on what the job is, what they're
Yeah.
asking for, and then that those are at least two things that I would say are like a must to have.
Um, do you notice like a certain like layout? You know how like there's some times where you can just have like all of your certifications, but do you notice like us nannies we have portfolios where we can show like pictures or our crafts that we made with our some of our kids. Do you notice that that might help a little bit more, or do you think families are really just kind of looking at the standard resume and really looking at our experiences? It just depends on probably the situation
Yeah,
and the
I would
fam.
say it depends, but if you're going to use a portfolio, I would say if you have like 5 years plus experience. So I go up to
Okay.
like 5 pages on a resume. I actually was
Okay.
looking at one that I did a while ago, and her resume was even longer than that. But she had so much experience that it was like, why would we leave any of this out? And that's why I always say it's very different from corporate America, because in corporate, they just want to know how you can make the money and what you've done to make other
Mm,
companies money. So that's why they're asking about, when it comes to corporate, they're asking about adding statistics and adding, just different things that we don't really have in
mm-mm.
childcare. But the parents or the agency or whoever it is you're sending your resume to, in childcare, they want to know everything that you've done. So as far as layouts go, it's kind of hard to explain the standard
Yeah.
layout, but you obviously want to start with your contact information, then a tagline, then your qualification summary, then go right into your skills and I always mix up the two, skills and experience, and then education, and then you add
Okay.
like certification and hobbies and stuff at the bottom. That can be kind of it can be
A different
structured
way.
very different depending on the resume. Usually, if there's an image, it's in the top left or the top right. And then at the bottom, I like to put some sort of review from a family. That's something
Mm,
that I'm adding on, but I've noticed that even in corporate, they're doing it. So I was like, oh, if they're doing this in corporate, like, then that's kind of my tactic. I train generally in resumes and career coaching, but I take what is relevant to childcare and kind of tweak it for us, to make it.
mm.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind
So you
of
kind of
my structure.
yeah. So you're almost getting like the both of both best of both worlds working with you
Yeah.
because you got the corporate and then you're trying to, you've been a nanny, so you know exactly
Yep.
what us childcare looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So if what is there a certain thing? I still have. How do you get their resume? So how do they, if they want to say somebody's watching this right now, how do they contact with you? How do they set up an appointment with you? Do you charge by hourly? How does it work to get set up with you to
Yeah.
get your resume?
So I do have a website, but my website is under construction. You could still like go to
Okay.
the website and subscribe to my email list and all of that stuff. But where I really want people to go is the link in my Instagram bio. It's a
Okay.
job form. So you're going to fill out like your name, and then if you currently have a resume, if you're okay with my turnaround time, and then you can either you tell me how you prefer me to contact you. Some people don't care. I can just text you. Some people want to book a call. So you have that option as well. So you just pick your preferred contact method. And then from there, depending on when I receive it, I'll either contact you next day if it's like after 6 p.m. or if it's on the weekend, I'll contact you Monday. But I usually contact you. We, then confirm your call and then have our call, or we just talk about it via
Yes.
text or email and then kind of go from there. Once they pretty much say that they're ready to go, I send them over the instructions that are needed, which includes the payment details, which once my website is up and, good to go, all of that will just be on there. But for now, I'm handling all of that. So once payment is submitted, then I go ahead and get started. 2-day turnaround is the minimum, but sometimes life
2 days.
happens. I might need more. But the 2-day turnaround generally, starts when I get all of your information. So once you send me everything back from that email and I see I have everything I need, I go ahead and begin. So the faster you send me your stuff, the faster I can pretty much get it done, is how that works. And then I send it back to you. I send you the Word document in addition to the PDF. You should only be applying with your PDF, but I send you the Word document in the event you want to edit anything. But you do have unlimited edits when working with me and interview support. So if obtain a new role or get a new certification or whatever, and you just
Mm,
don't want to do it, you reach out to me. I've done your resume before. I'll add it on there free of charge. And then if you have questions about your upcoming interview or what you do post interview or whatever, everybody
mm.
has my personal number. They can voice note me, they can call me if I'm available, or they can
Sure.
text, whatever they prefer. But yeah, that's pretty much how the process works.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really cool process. Well, I mean, it's cool too because you don't just like hand it the resume and be like, well, good luck, have fun.
Yeah.
Go get the job.
I used to do that in the past, and then I realized I was like, oh, like no, they need way more. And that's how the career coaching kind of became, because I
Mm,
realized I was like, I can do your resume and I can support you there, but then people are coming back to me like, oh, I didn't get the job. And I'm like, okay, well, it wasn't the resume because you got the interview. And I'm
right.
realizing they don't really know how to speak during an interview. They don't know what to do. They don't know interview etiquette, rather. So I'm like, okay, so this is where I'm like an expert. I've really never, there's a story on my page where there was one job that I didn't get, but I still did everything right. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
know the process through and through to educate you on. So I was like, oh, let me add on career coaching. Let me educate myself, certify myself, however, whatever it is I have to do. And then that's how the career coaching aspect came to be.
Sure. Oh, that's so cool. I mean, yeah, that's super cool. Um, so what is like if say somebody is like watching this and they're like, man, I don't need no resume. Like I got myself, like like they think that they don't need any type of resume. What would you tell people? What is the importance of having a resume?
I would
Why do
laugh.
we need it? Yeah,
I
right.
would laugh for quite some time. When I first started Your Nanny Resume, I'll make this disclaimer before I even answer the question. When I first started, I struggled with knowing if childcare was my target audience because so
Mm,
many people would send an email and just be like, hey, I've nannied for such and such family, or I babysat for such and such family, and they would actually get jobs with that. And I was like, that is the
mm,
problem. That people don't really realize, like, even if you make grammatical errors on your resume, or even if it's like you're missing something, it's not consistent, that speaks to you as a person, that speaks to your character. So if you're overlooking things like that, then if my son has a peanut allergy, are you going to overlook that too? Like
yes.
there's a lot of things that people overthink, especially when it comes to their child. So that's
Mm,
why it's important to have a well structured, well written, thought out resume. So at this point, everyone requires it. I work with agencies as well. There's a few that I'm collabing with. There's actually one where I'm doing a training tomorrow and talking to their staff about like what to look for on resumes. So I say all that to say that everybody is requiring a resume now. Also, they're also requiring a resume that goes through an ATS system, which is an applicant
Mm,
tracking system. So if you
mm,
have keywords on your resume, if it's formatted weird or whatever, your resume doesn't even make it through. So you're not even considered a thought. You're going to immediately get that.
mm,
I know you get it in corporate. I haven't seen it with agencies, but usually with an ATS system, you get an automated message saying that they, chose another candidate or whatever. Like all of those like robotic emails is pretty much from that system. So if you don't
mm.
have a resume, but I mean, maybe you know somebody in word of mouth or whatever, sure. Like obviously those things do work out, but you do need one. Like
Nah.
it's not really an option at this point,
Mm-mm.
especially with how we've grown so much in the childcare industry. You need one, and it also needs to be well structured. If
Structure.
especially if you're going through an agency, because once it goes through that ATS system, and if you don't get selected or whatever the process looks like, that is why because your resume was poorly written or poorly structured.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, you learn something new when you talk to somebody. Yeah, because
yeah.
that's I didn't even think about when after like that system when it's in it. I've heard about it, but you
Mhm.
wouldn't think like nannies would, because like you said, a lot of it is, I mean, a lot of it can be word of mouth type things, which
Yeah.
totally, which is good for our industry, but as well, I mean, everything definitely needs to be put on paper. And at the end of the day, I'm
Mhm.
like, why nannies? Why wouldn't you want to put it on paper? Like, why wouldn't you want to
Yeah,
show off your work, like in your
exactly.
and make you look even more
Mhm.
bomb, like
Like
even more better.
literally, that's what really what a resume is. I always that's why I relate it to dating a lot. I'm like your resume is like your dating profile in a sense. And now these families are like your potential other looking at your resume, seeing if you qualify for the first date, aka the interview. And that's kind of how it works. So why would you not? Especially these people literally that resume I looked at the other day that I did. She was a newborn care specialist. So obviously there's a lot of information on there
Hmm.
because they change jobs so
So
rapidly. But all of
rapidly,
her information that she has on there, I was like, listen, if somebody doesn't want to read this, that's their problem, but we're not
problem.
taking any of it off. If it becomes a consistent issue and they're like, okay, it's just too long, we can obviously shave it off. And as the years go on, the older, like if you've been
Hmm.
doing this since 1990, like that's cool, but we might have to shave that off depending on how long it's getting. Or you have the option of making a portfolio, like you mentioned, if you want to include some artwork that you've done with kids, some the actual certificates in there, or the copy of them. I,
Yeah,
put that together as well. Even for me, since I do marketing outside of this, I have a whole like PowerPoint presentation which houses all of my work samples and analytics, like a whole bunch of stuff that pretty much is relevant for my industry. So when people are like, "Oh, can you send over your portfolio?" I just send them the PowerPoint that I made, and it houses everything. So
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely another option.
Yeah, no, that's a cool. I do like I have a question though too, because you know how sometimes when you're in an agency, and you know how sometimes when you get hired from an agency, they like to make your own portfolios, like like
Mm-hmm.
your own resume. Do you have any like advice by like giving them like, no, like I would like you to use my resume, or is it just something that we just kind of have to go? Or do you think when we're in the interview from the agency, do we bring our actual copy of our resume to bring to the families?
That's
Yeah.
a really
So
good question. Best practice would be I always say be vocal and set boundaries. These agencies, from what I've seen, and again, I've partnered with many of them, they scratch the surface when it comes to resumes. They know what they want to see,
yeah,
and obviously will, you know, it's going to be company standard at a certain point. So if this family has been with this agency forever, that's what they're expecting from them. But in the event you're like, no, I really like this on my resume and I really like this, and they're just not budging, maybe that's not,
the
the
resume, the
relationship that
agency.
you want to, continue with. However, there are some agencies out there that do really deep dive into the resumes and they do the same thing that I do and they know what they're talking about. So it's very circumstantial. Really, I would say go with your gut, which I know sounds very like, okay, well, I need a job. Like, I don't have time to go with my gut. Like, I need to
Right.
know what to do and what not to do. But honestly, agencies, especially the ones that I've worked with, are really receptive. They hear you out. They know what exactly they're doing. So yeah, in the event you do still want to use your resume, that could be something that you bring to the interview personally and just say, here, we have two different versions, but this one has a little bit more detail that I wanted to share. So, you can refer to this as well. So you're not going behind their back or anything. You're just providing them with more information so they feel more comfortable connecting with you. And, and if they bring it up, it's not like you went behind their back or it
Right.
wasn't, best practice to bring your own resume. You're educating the family on what you've done and who you are. And sometimes that means that you have to modify your resume and take things off that aren't relevant, but sometimes there is things that are relevant. So it's circumstantial.
Yeah, circumstantial. Well,
Yeah.
um, no, I mean that makes sense because there's sometimes, yeah, I've been dealt with some agencies as well where I've had to like, no, I kind of want this on there, and they were like, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense, for the families. But I just thought I'd ask because I know that some people deal with that when they come. Because I know some nanny agencies are like, no, you just send us our information, we'll make you our
Yep.
portfolio, and you're like, well, I got this whole. I just went through
Right.
my whole reason for my own
Right.
for this,
Yep.
but it's understandable. Do you have like anything else would you like to like share with us about the nanny resume? Anything like you have coming looking up for? Are you coming in
Yeah.
any conferences?
Yeah.
I know
So I will be at International Nanny Training Day in Atlanta.
ooh,
I'll be on the
okay.
speaker panel between 2 and 3, I believe, with three other amazing ladies. So in the event you're in the Atlanta area and you haven't got your ticket yet, I would highly encourage you to do so. I can actually link it in my bio for now, but you also can just go to the your Happy Nest. I always get that and my name mixed up. Your Happy Nest link in their bio, and you can sign up there.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm accepting resume clients. So in the event you think you need a resume done and you just want to learn more about the process, you can fill out the form, book a call, or however you want to be contacted. Stay tuned for my content. There's a bunch of collabs coming up.
I
There's
was
already some
gonna say.
collabs that have been done. So definitely take a look. If you have any questions or if there's anything that you want me to touch on that you maybe have questions on, I do a question
Mm-hmm.
poll every week, sporadically throughout the week, but it
That's
helps
cool.
me know what the community really wants to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly educating myself. So the more I learn, the more I can share. And I want to make sure that I'm, speaking to my target audience. So yeah, just pretty much engage with me. Stay tuned. My website is coming,
Coming.
coming. It's still there, but it's just not ideal. That's coming. Blogs will be written, emails will be going out, a bunch of fun stuff is coming. So I'm excited.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, it's so exciting. Well, we'll make sure that you guys you'll find all her information on the description box below where you can find her on Instagram. I will try to see if you can send me your link to your jet form. Maybe I can attach that to the bottom as well so they can just click if they're watching the video, they just can click right here. And then they can give you a follow as well on your Instagram. And that's where she does have some good videos, y'all. If you have not followed her, please follow her. So her Instagram name is at your nanny resume. And she has, yeah, such good contact on there. It's really cool. And I really
Yeah.
like how you do the questions each week to see what we like to see and what we need to
Yeah.
learn. That's really cool. Like so but anyways, thank you so much for sitting down with us and sharing a little bit about your nanny resume, educating us why it's important to have resumes. At the bottom line, y'all, if you ain't got your resume, go hit up Bree right now.
What she
because
said.
you
What she said. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we need y'all really truly need a resume, and there are certain ways to have our resume written that will definitely get you some jobs if you are in a situation where you're like tired of being in where you at.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's you need a little update on your portfolio and your resume to get you shown, because some of those keywords is all that your resume could be missing to
Uh-huh.
catch the eye of that one family, because in
Yeah.
my eyes it takes one family and that's it. You kind of opens up the doors, it can open up the door
Mm-hmm.
for you. So once you get the one, it can things can open. So
Yeah, take it from me, especially working in Greenwich for the time I did. I worked for some great families, some pretty high profile families, and then it became a word of mouth thing. And I'm telling you, word of mouth in the childcare industry is huge. Like,
huge.
if they can't afford you anymore, this family knows about 12 other families that just had a baby.
Families
Like, it's there, it's
is
huge. So Make sure that
Huge.
you're doing what you can to get in the door, but also that's why I do the career coaching, because a lot of people get a job, don't know how to keep the job, don't know how to look for red flags, toxic employers, things like that. Don't know how to show up every day and be their best self. And in reality, obviously not every day is going to be a good day, but if you're having more bad days than good days, then that says something about the role. That says something about you and the role that you selected. So we really deep dive into like the nitty gritty. Like, do you even like waking up at 7 a.m.? No? Okay, then you don't need a job that starts at 7 a.m.
Mm,
Jobs in childcare that start at 12, that start at afternoon,
no, trust me.
overnight,
Yeah.
that really fit your lifestyle. So stop accepting jobs that you don't feel like actually
Mm.
getting out of bed for. You don't have to do that. So we deep dive into all of it, guys. I'm here. I'm here to
Reach
help.
out to her. Yeah. Because I might be reaching out to you too, girl. So
Okay, come on down, girl. I'm here.
appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us and getting a little bit know about you a little bit more. We finally got to connect and reach out to each other. So I'm really thankful. In the meantime, guys, please go give her a follow and we will see you guys soon for another episode.